Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how you can paint for yourself at home, lightning striking in acrylic paint on canvas. I'm going to break down how you paint the glow of lightning, how you get the patterning of lightning, how you create the surrounding storm. Every part of this painting I'm going to break down step by step, every technique, every tool, every color mix. To help me do that is my husband, John.
Hello.
He makes sure that our live streams are working and that we stay connected to the live stream. He makes sure that all the lights stay on, the cameras are pointing at what's going on. He also reads the chat, helps me with the chat so that we can answer questions. If you're here for the live show, be sure to put your questions all in caps. The moderators, which are the little people with the wrenches, well, moderators, let's call them art ambassadors because that's just more what they are, is art ambassadors. They'll be able to help you maybe find a video that answers that question, but your question might get asked live during the show, which is also kind of cool. So we're doing this all in a world of Memorex. We're doing everything live.
It's true.
Just all humans here all the time. Let's go over materials. Nothing to do but jump in and go over materials for the fabulous class today.
Let me get you over there. Hold on.
I see everyone greeting Sharon and Heather. All right. So today's canvas is a 9x12. I'm painting on the Art Alternatives Classic Cotton Canvas. I really like that one. It has a good stretch. I like the beveling. I like the surface. I like it. And got Mars Black on the palette. I've got Cad Yellow Medium, Cad Red Medium, Quinacridone Magenta, Dioxazine Purple, Ultramarine Blue. This is Titanium White. This milky liquid here is the Satin Glazing Liquid. It's a slow drying extender for acrylic colors. And then for the lightning later, I'm going to use Golden Fluid Acrylic. It's just titanium white paint, and it's in a more, it's a fluid acrylic, so it's more like the consistency of a thick gravy instead of, the heavy body paint, which is more like whipped cream. I don't know. I'm reaching for food analogies today. I swear I'm not hungry.
Yeah,
I'm not hungry. That's just the analogies I'm into.
To get to.
Let's go to step one so we can start having some painting fun.
All right.
I want to have some painting fun today. All right, so I'm going to take my Quinacridone Magenta. Now, in the acrylic paint, it's called Quinacridone Fuchsia. It's 671. Sometimes you guys ask me about that because they have a different name. It's the same name, but it's a different name. And I'm going to just squeeze out some paint onto my canvas, and then I'll smear that around. You don't have to do that this way. This is a silly way of doing it.
Would a rose by any other name not smell as sweet?
I don't know. It depends on if it's a rose that has scent or not.
Well, I mean, that color. It just doesn't matter what you call it. It's the same color, right? It's just got different names.
Well, it's fuchsia, quinacridone, fuchsia. Yeah, it does. It just has different names.
Yeah. That happens.
It happens. I'm going to use water to mist my canvas just a little bit, and I'm going to just I'll take a 1-inch oval mop, and I'm just going to spread this around. Whole canvas, sides, everything, bright neon pink, because we're going to pop this storm. This is going to be like flash. No, no.
It'll be like Lightning McQueen painted it.
Yeah. And I'm just spreading this around.
To just paint that. Now, is directionality, brush directionality here important?
Not important yet.
Not important.
Nothing's important but the canvas be pink. Bright pink. What this does, we're going to be working harmonies that are mostly through this part of the canvas, through this bright pink area of the canvas, interestingly enough. And so we're just making sure that the underpainting is also a luminous bright pink, and that will help us get
a luminousness.
Now, I do kind of go back through just out of habit, and you can see once I've smeared it all out, I kind of do a vertical and a horizontal kind of covering. And that
evening of it.
It evens it out in color, and it smooths it out, but it also gets rid of some of the brush strokes. So I guess I do that, but that's a habit thing, and it's not necessary. It's just a habit I'm in.
But it's good practice?
It's good practice. It's good practice.
Yeah.
It's good practice. Let's do some practice. All right, so we're going to rinse our brush out and make sure we don't leave any paint in it. And then we're going to dry this canvas all the way dry.
All the way.
All the way dry.
Okay. Whoosh, dry. Whoosh. Okay. Oh, I gotta get the buttons over here so that I can go. I got something to show you guys. Hold on a second. Oh, there it goes. If you would like to get notified when we go live, then send to the message has to go to the phone number, and then in the message section put join, and you send it to the 734-808-0828, and you'll get a text message when we go live. We have we've had some folks accidentally send the phone number to join, and that it won't send a response. But if you end up getting it mixed up, it won't send you a response. But if you get if you do send the join to that number, you should get a little thing that says you have joined the Art Sherpa notification system, and you will get SMSs or something like that. But
something like that.
I don't remember what I wrote. There's
a message.
Yeah, I made one.
Enjoy the message.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was talking about when you were away. Clearly. SMS.
I love that. That's what you were talking about while I was away.
I have to do it here because I can't remember what step we're on later, so I have to. So I got to do it early so I don't forget.
So I'm going to grab a number 4 Textura D brush. Right, this is the number 4. If you don't have this particular brush, what I'm looking for is this filbert edge, this rounded edge. Now I also like that it's a little bit curved here in the cut of the brush, but that's the shape. So you could do a filbert. You could do a bright and paint just the corner. I'm going to work the corner of this as well. So I'm letting you know what tool I'm using, but I'm also trying to convey that you don't have to have exactly this tool. The reason I'm picking it is there's so many sides of this brush that is busy and I can paint with. Now I've taken a drop of water over to my black paint and I'm thinning it. On the right hand side, a couple of inches up, I'm going to come here and I'm going to make very wandering up and down, but sloping down to here. On the left hand side, about an inch up, I'm just going to and I'm just making sure that I've got a nice uneven area, and then I paint the whole bottom in black.
Just gonna fill it in.
Yeah. Now this is a placeholder. So we're gonna do another coat of black, and we're going to refine the edge here because we're going to be painting our sky right up into this edge. We just want to. There's no point in doing the best sky of your life down here in the last inch that you're going to paint over with black. That seems frustrating.
That does.
So I'm just painting.
I have to say that the sound of the scritchiness is very nice.
You like the sound of the scritchiness? I like the sound of the scritchiness too. Here, let's listen.
I got a question though.
Okay, I have an answer.
Marcia would like to know, what was the number for the Quinacridone Magenta?
Oh, 671.
671.
Oh, just this tube of paint. The pigment code is PR 122. I mean, yeah, 122 is a pigment code for it. But in the CNLA line, all quinacridone fuchsia will have 671 associated with the color. So like if you have pastels and you need quinacridone, that's a 671. If you're in watercolor, it's a 671. And so it doesn't matter what you're painting, the numbers stay across the board. So you can change medium, but get exact color.
But only with that Sennelier line.
Only with that line. I wish they all did it.
But we do like that fact that that was one of the things that was very nice and convenient about working with their colors, is that like if you wanted to have a watercolor that's the same as your acrylic, which is the same as your, gouache or oil or whatever.
Because sometimes in paint companies, they change the names of the colors as it changes medium, which is the least helpful thing. It's not helpful. It's arty, but it's not helpful.
Thus
all right.
Naples Gate.
So now I'm going to go ahead and dry this lower half. You can paint around the edges if you want, but I just want to have this be dry down here, and then we're going to start putting in our storm.
Okay. So, if you guys are just joining us for the first time, thank you so much for coming and being here. And I see someone from East London, South Africa. Wow, that seems like super far away from here. That's got to be cool that you're someone all the way on the other side of the world, on other continents, are with big oceans between us. like you guys were painting together. This seems like a whole world of people coming together to just have a little creative moment, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Celeste is in from London.
East London,
in South Africa.
That's what I was saying. Is just like, wow, can you?
Wow. And then we got Melissa from Griswold, Connecticut.
And like,
love it.
Oceans apart.
Oceans apart. And yet here we are together. That's awesome.
We have some Australians that are also joining us from down under.
It's the middle of the night. I'm really sorry.
It's underneath the earth.
It's underneath the earth.
Or we're under the earth.
So I'm going to use my 1-inch oval mop, and I'm going to get my glazing liquid on it.
I think maybe they're on top of the earth and we're underneath it.
And I'm going to come and grab a little bit of my Dioxazine Purple and my Ultramarine Blue. And I'm going to come from the top, just brushing this darker color. Just brushing it down. Then as I'm coming down, I'm going to get a little more of my Dox Purple and Quinacridone. And a little bit of glazing liquid. Just starting to work this through.
Yeah.
And come back over with a very soft touch with my brush, and it's going to start to soften and blend this.
Good blending.
It's a good blending. I'm just softening and blending. We've got layers and layers to do, but we're just building up our architecture. I'm going to rinse out.
Your cloud texture?
The cloud texture. And rinse out. I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad Red over to my Cad Yellow. And I'm going to get a very bright yellow-orange. I'm going to come down here and go over my mountain or my distant landscape just a little bit. I'm brushing over from the left towards the right with this orange. As I'm coming over, I can get a little more magenta. And then a nice amount of magenta there. So I switched from the Cad Red medium to the magenta. And I'm going to just blend this sort of orange hue through here. Just blend it in through. So again, think of this as the architecture, and you're kind of seeing it, the bright yellow, the oranges, the purples. Making sure I'm going right over my black so that my sky leads right into this here. And it's something that you can do is you can take a little bit of yellow and come like right along this little edge here of your black.
Kind of creates that little glow over the hill.
Little glow over the hill. We're going to put
your black back.
Yeah, we're going to put it back. But right now we just want to make sure we've got a little glow over the hill.
It'll be like AC/DC.
AC/DC. that just amused me so much, but it did. It amused me so much. I'm going to rinse this brush out. I'm going to dry it off a little bit. And sometimes I can come back once it's dry and sort of blend here, kind of soften the transition, and then I just wipe on my little towel. All right, I'm going to dry everything thoroughly. We want to make sure it's completely bound. If you don't get it dry between these two layers, you can start lifting the upcoming layers and lifting all the paint back to your first layer. So make sure it's thoroughly dry.
Thoroughly dry. That's the important part. So yeah, don't use heat. Heat is not super good for your paint. Just keep it on the lowest heat setting. That'll make sure that you don't have any trouble with, adhesion or color problems. And it's normally just in those more budget paints, and even now a lot of the more budget paints are really getting much better. And that's just because the accessibility to the chemistry and stuff just generally has gone up. So even inexpensive paints now are pretty good.
They're getting better and better and better.
Man, I tell you what, if you brought some of this paint back to an artist 100 years ago, they'd be like, OMG, where'd you get this stuff? I want it all.
Yeah, they would. Man, they would definitely be your bestie.
Like that Derwent test kit. We're going to show everybody later, but that was off the chain.
All right. Let's continue on 4. I'm going to grab my number 20 Raphael. This is a round brush. It's a number 20. It's d'Artagnan, the line. What I'm looking for is a brush about the size of a finger, right? That's got hog bristles, that's round, that I can do scruffy painting with. Right? So that's a brush that you want to have in your brush bucket when you're buying brush sets, is a good round scruffy brush that you can go scruffy with. And to that end, let's begin with a little scruffy. So I'm going to take some of my yellow. I'm going to get a little of my glazing liquid.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much, Heather. I'm going to just kind of add a little yellow here and wiggling back and forth. I'm wiggling back and forth. So instead of wet into wet blending, I'm almost doing like a dry brushing to get my blending. I'm just wiggling this back and forth. I'm leaving some areas darker. Some areas lighter. I'm going to come in. I think I'll grab a little bit of the Quin and Cad Red. Come over here and start to orange it up. Maybe a little more yellow orange than what I currently have here. And wiggle it up. Grab a little more quinacridone. Just wiggle it up. What's great is we've got these sort of overhanging clouds that we're going to get to paint in. And I'm really excited. I'm going to grab a little bit of my glazing liquid here. I'm going to just kind of come purple and quinacridone. And I'm going to really darken this side of the canvas a bit. So it reads almost like a chromatic black. It reads quite dark. And that's part of where, some of our storminess comes from. I'm going to just kind of push down a little bit of that dark. I'm just pushing down a couple of cloud banks, if you see.
Look good.
And I'm going to rinse out. Take a little bit of my Quinacridone and my Cad Red and a smidge of Dioxazine Purple. Just working that lightly over here. So again, I'm not necessarily blending wet into wet. It's almost like a dry brush blending where I'm just allowing the color to glaze out and deepen up over time. Back into my dark color. Okay, let's call this a step. We're not gonna dry it though. Okay, so I'm gonna come here and add a bit. I've taken my brush, I've rinsed it out in the water, I've dried it off with my towel. I'm gonna come back over to my Quinacridone and Dioxazine Purple. Add a little bit of white to it. I'm on the left-hand side, and I'm going to start working down this little keyhole of light here. Just beginning to talk about how there's a lightness in these clouds. Well, yeah, because the lightning lights it up. Just kind of bringing that along here, adding some light. Sometimes I will wipe off the brush on my towel, just so I can smudge. Push a little darker color, my Quinacridone and my Dioxazine Purple. So I'm going to want darker clouds on this line along here, and then we're going to have a little run of light. So we're going to have to paint the clouds lighting up. It's going to be a whole thing. Which is why I kind of like that some of the construct of this is a little bit simpler.
Right, yeah.
So that when we're coming through here to do that, it won't be so hard. Just sort of blending this right now. See, I'm blending. And then we'll kind of mix these colors halfway. And create some transitional space. I'm going to rinse my brush out and dry it off. Dry it way off. Come over my work and make sure that it's soft. See, I'm softening it.
Yeah.
Take a little bit of my red here. I'm going to grab a smidge of my black. I do it in slow increments. Come underneath here and I'm going to just run a little bit of a dark value. Kind of in a vertical. Color is super soft and light. Can you see how light and soft the color is? Back and forth, just kind of hiding it. Take a little bit of my Ultramarine blue and my Quinacridone Magenta. A little more Quinacridone Magenta. Just lightly brushing over the canvas to kind of tone it. And see how this technique is kind of creating this sort of stormy depth in the sky?
It's really cool.
I'm just kind of brushing in the implication that there could be clouds. The implication that there's something going on here. I'm implying it like a gossip. And I'm going to take a little bit of my white. I've rinsed my brush out and I've dried it off. I'm over here into my quinacridone and purple mixture. I'm going to come along here with a bit of light. Brush it down a little bit. I'll wipe my towel off. Wipe my brush on my towel. And I'm going to just blend that. See how I'm blending? I came through and like blended that out, that glow. So I got softness coming out that direction. I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue. Has some of my quinacridone into it, but it's more blue. I'm going to grab a smidge of my white. Thank you so much, Chantel. Here's a little grandma type birthday envelope. Treat yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had a lovely birthday, by the way, so thank you very much for being part of that. Yvette says, I've been searching for the Raphael Sepia number 4 round per Cinnamons recommendation on an old video, and it seems like that it's obsolete. Any recommendations for similar brushes or firmness? It's not obsolete. It's part of a 2-pack that comes in the Studio Essentials. So this is the Raphael Sepia. I have it for sale in my store. But this is also for sale like in Europe and stuff where Raphael brushes are sold. So what you're looking for is the Studio Essentials, and that's where the sepias are. So if we can get you a direct link, we will do that. I'm going to come up here and start to talk about I think I might even get it darker up here first.
We're staying on the same step here?
Yeah, let's stay on the same step, and we're going to take some just Dioxazine Purple and glazing liquid. And I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to use this dark purple for the heart of the storm. I'm taking a little Dioxazine glazing liquid. I'm just coming along the edge, darkening it. Then I'll come here at this corner. I'm blending down, just blending. Sometimes I will curl my brush stroke to the right. Sometimes I'll curl it to the left. And I do that to hide it. Oh, show us your birthday party dance, says Hope Healer. I did do a birthday party dance.
It's a good dance.
It was a good dance. Had a lovely day. All right, now I'm getting a little bit into my ultramarine blue. I'm kind of working it up into here too. A little purple. Start to kind of build up the dark clouds that are going to be over here. Rinse it out. Let's call this step.
All right.
Because you were asking earlier. Yeah, I'll dry.
Okay.
We'll call this a step.
Okay.
Steppy step, 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 step. Steppy step, step, step. We're yo-ya gabba gabba over here.
Yo-gabba gabba. So, there we go. Thank you guys for coming and being part of this. Really lovely to have everybody here. Cinnamon had a birthday up yesterday. We had a really nice birthday. We mostly just hung in here, had some espresso and hung out and had a really nice day. Would you say that was what we did yesterday?
Yep.
They didn't have a nice day?
Yep. Just had a really chill, happy day. Happy day.
And here's the next step.
All right. So I'm going to put my 20 down for a second, and I'm going to grab a smaller brush. You could grab any round you have. I'm going to, for continuity, use my number 4 Raphael D'Artagnan brush. Same material as the first brush. It's just much smaller. And I am just doing that so that we do have like just a little continuity. And get a little glazing liquid on here. Get a little white. Get a little yellow. I'm going to come here and wiggle over a little bit of a low cloud bank that's kind of backlit. And I'm just using a smaller brush just because it's going to make it easier for me to do that. Just little bits. If I need to, I can just get some yellow. You can yellow any of it out if it gets too bright. See what I did there? Yellowed any of it out. All right. Now this brush will be back because it does the little detailed edges of the clouds. I want to kind of include a better transition between this orange and here. So I'm going to take a little bit of my orange, my Cad red, and my Cad yellow. So see how it's just a hard transition? I'm not loving it. If I grab my glaze, with my orange, I can kind of soften that edge there. So that's the other way I can control color. Is use a glazing liquid. Kind of blend this up here. Just making sure my transitions are moody and smoky. Okay, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone over to my ultramarine. I'm going to mix it more to the quinacridone though. I'm going to make sure there's not a lot of water in my brush. Make kind of my light sky color. I'm using my number 20, little circles, little edgy bits. Kind of exaggerate the line of light here. Okay. I'm going to just exaggerate the line of light. I'm just really spending some time with our sky, guys. It's exaggerating. We want to pull some light into this area. I can always come and put back some dark, but I want to add some light to this area so that I've got some clouds to build up on. So I'm just pulling that there. Wipe my brush out. Wipe my brush out. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of my white and take it over to my little purple over here. I'll try to do this with my brush if it'll work. I'm going to take down little vertical, and you want these to be little vertical drops. Kind of how we see the rain coming down in the skies. It just have a little more white on here. Now, I don't want it to be white because I need that room for my lightning strike. I need at least 2 values up. Dry brush where you need to. I'd say the trick with this is to try to keep the lines as vertical as you can, up and down, so that when we put in the rest of the context to this, you can really see it. Now I'm going to dry my brush again. Take it off on the paper towel. I've got just a little bit of pigment in here, and I'm going to just brush down. This is to soften that line. So we still have some room. We still have some room to lighten the lightning strike coming down. We still have some room to lighten up in the clouds. We still have some room. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my white into there. And speaking of lightening up in the clouds, I'm going to make sure that I've got a very, very light area here that I can build on for the light. SC Lockett says, is it true you can use airbrush medium from Golden instead of water? I bought a bottle and don't know why. It is absolutely true that you can use airbrush medium instead of water, and a lot of artists will, because the airbrush medium ensures that you have no underbinding, so you can do a lot of really unusual techniques, thin techniques, pour techniques with the airbrush medium. A lot of artists don't use it just because it's pricey to use as water. But yes, you absolutely can. And an artist do. A lot of times artists that work in a professional space will do things like using airbrush medium as water because it lengthens the life of the painting, and they like that for their collectors. I just come here and just make sure I've got a little bit of light. Little bit of light. Come down a little bit of light. Just making sure I've got a little bit of light coming up here. I really need to lighten this area because I'm going to come in with dark clouds and I need to backlight them. Bring this up a little further than I might normally want it. Make it just a little more white over to my little purple area. Lighten this little area just a little bit more than everything else. See how we've lightened that one little area just a little more than everything else. Rushing down for the rain. Take that rain there. That's looking good. Yeah, I'm doing just fine. How are you doing? All right, we've got a nice little cloud there. Let's call that a step because that was some work, guys. I actually kind of want it maybe a little bit wet, so I'm not going to dry it.
You're not going to dry it, just ready to go on to the next step then?
Yeah, I just want to go on to the next step. I just want to go on to the next step. I'm going to take my number 4 round and get into my purple ultramarine blue mix of paint again. And I'm going to come here and make some very dark little kind of coming in clouds. Just adding a little bits of little circles, little kind of like backwards, right? Where we're getting the light into the clouds. If you've been here a minute, you know that once I painted a kraken coming out of a raining sky. And put this aside a little bit. I'm going to pick up my big one again. I'm going to go wipe it off on my towel. I'm going to bring some blue over to where I had the purple and white. Mix a little purple into it. Darken it. But this is going to be a lighter color. Yeah, it's lighter than the background. Just barely, though. It's a very dark cloud bank. See how that's a dark cloud bank? I come here and come along this little line here. Little dark cloud bank in this purple blue color. I just feel good that I'm just painting with ease today. And to be real honest, today is an easy day. The acrylic April that acrylic August that I've been doing has been part of my own recovery process. So the line of paintings, when you see them, will be about like me coming back from my art. That made me think of your crack and rinse cup from way back. I remember that crack and rinse cup. That was the best. I love the way back. When you've been on here for 10 years, you have some way back, don't you? Just bringing this out here.
Yeah, you do.
So the sky is simple and also complex, right? It's both things. It's different than the kind of sky we normally paint. Take a little bit of white over here. Just working. You can see my brush is sort of flaring out. Just this little blank of deep storm clouds. Then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my purple and blue together. Maybe glazing liquid, but for sure purple and blue together. And I'm going to come along this line here. And this is that dark shadow rain. Come along that little bank line. So same sort of brush stroke. There, just letting that fall. Let it fall, man. Let it fall. Needs to fall. You gotta let it fall. Rinse my brush out, put it to the side,
Yeah,
pick up my small brush.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Donna. And I'm going to add a little bit of white over to my little purple over here. That again was the Quinacridone Magenta and the Dioxazine Purple. And I'm going to come along this little line. It's not quite that bright. Gotta deepen it a little. Just add to the glow there. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my Quinacridone Magenta and my Dox Purple together. I'll blend right up over that. A little bit more into the purple as I go. So sometimes out here what I do is I do lighter pressure. It's the other way that I kind of imply that things are in the sky is I like lighten my pressure. Okay, rinse out a little bit. Come back again, a little bit of my Quin and my Dioxazine Purple. Don't want it to be light there. The wrong place to have light. Grab a little bit of my Ultramarine blue. And then go back into my rain color with my smaller brush. Glazing liquid to improve the flow, but keep it light. This is very light that I'm brushing this down. So this is a little bit of the highlight. And I may even take my finger through it just to kind of highlight and have shadow. All right. Let's call that a step.
You need to dry, you think, or good to go?
I think I want to dry everything.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come in and put in a lightning strike.
All right. A lightning strike? That sounds pretty interesting. Let's see. Thank you guys. Oh, and, I want to say thank you guys. I appreciate you sharing your stories with us and, for allowing us to be there on your personal journeys because, a lot of stuff happens in life and, we know that sometimes we're here with you guys when you're going through stuff, even if we don't know we're there going with you, going through stuff. So,
True story.
But we're here because we want you to have these resources and stuff, Anyway, we like it. We like being We like being part of your journey as well. So thank you. Thank you for sharing.
I love listening to you. All right. The number 1 Raphael Precision new step. 8 is great. Now I'm going to put some glasses on so I can see what I'm doing for a second. And I am going to take the golden fluid acrylic and pour it out. Now listen, if you don't have fluid paint, you can just thin your white with water. And it would look like, that there where you just thin with water and kind of create it. But I want a highly pigmented version, so that's why I like this. I'm going to load up on the tip of my brush. I'm going to come from here. This is just the best if you don't have a steady hand. There we go. Just run that line from the sky down. Kapow. Kapow. So already your brain does kind of go, oh, I think that's lightning. Now I'm going to get just a small, tiny amount. And paint a little tiny little lightning strike over here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Deborah. These are much finer, lighter lines. See how we're doing? I rinse out pretty often, and I make sure my brush is pretty slight. I would even do a smaller brush than this. I don't know where my smaller brush than this is. So we're going to do it with our 1. Grab a light amount of white. Periodically along here, you're going to paint little lightning strikes, little tendrils. Like you can do this, just the lightest little. See how we create those thicknesses and those thinnesses? Just a little lightning in the sky.
And that's the best place for it to be, in the sky.
Lightning is one of those things that it's good to observe from your window or from photographs. It's not one where I recommend that you go out and paint from nature in this particular case.
Take a mental snapshot.
Take a mental snapshot. Branching those out. I'm just thoughtful about it. Just thinking about what I'm doing. So I've got my storm clouds starting to go. I've got, a bunch of this stuff. We're gonna play with a few things to exaggerate some really cool things. Okay. Then there is a series of kind of like now I could paint the cactus before I painted the lightning. But I think sometimes it helps to have the continuity of the little line there. That way, you just when you're learning how to do it, that way you're in the right headspace for it.
Yeah.
Just bringing that down here. Rinse out if you have trouble having the line. If the line is giving you any trouble, you just rinse out. Sometimes you can do a little zigzagging. Look at that go. We're just painting our desert strike.
It's looking really cool.
Doesn't it look cool? We haven't even done any of our cool things yet. We're still doing architecture. We still have lots of little, so little fine little bits coming off. Wiggling it around. Sometimes I let the line get real light and fine. There we go. That's a nice beginning of a little lightning strike.
That's amazing.
I'm loving that. I think we've got another little one coming out here. Let's call that a step. All right. All right, okay. Let's call that a step. And come back. I'm going to show you what you do.
Can you give it a good dry there?
We're going to give it a dry here.
That's good. Man, I just think this looks super cool. And if you want any of the resources that we have for this, you can find them on our website, theartsherpa.com, or oftentimes down in the links below, you'll find them there. We have, you can find us on Patreon, you can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on the webs, and then of course our SMS, so you can get those things too. Talked about that earlier.
I think it's fun to paint the desert in a storm. Don't you?
I do.
All right. So I'm going to get a little bit of my purple again and my ultramarine blue, my dark sky color. And I'm going to bring a little of the dark clouds, just lightly brushed. See how we did there? Perfect. Rinse out. Now I'm going to get a little bit of my white paint and I'm going to kind of wipe off on my towel. Look lazy medium, a little white paint. I'll come through here and kind of show the glow. See how that's creating a glow around that lightning strike? This is very similar to the effect you get when you're painting neon lights. Similar technique. So we're just painting the glow coming down the strike.
Yeah, it's really pretty cool.
All right. There's our glow. There's our kind of fixed up little clouds. We've got our little rain happening everywhere. Guess what time it is? Time to paint the cactus and do another step and be all there.
All right. So, let's see. I'm going to cough. Sorry. Cough. So I noticed that there's a question here about the reference image, and Cinnamon just uses this as a reference and isn't trying to replicate it. It was just sort of like, this is what is inspiring me. And then we talked actually before the show, she wanted to make the sky have more color and be a little bit brighter and things like that. So she always makes little changes here.
Yeah,
and there.
I definitely always try to make the painting more than just the photograph.
Yeah.
It's a preference that I do.
Now for the newest step, which I think will be step 10.
Yeah. So I'm going to take my black paint onto my number 4 Raphael, and I'm going to come along here and make an uneven little edge. Just a weird little wander. And that should just allow a glow, see, to appear behind my mountain. But you don't really see the glow until you paint the black back in. Okay, and then paint the whole solid back solid.
Right. Oh, that looks so sharp.
I love the glow. That's my favorite thing in this painting. That little line right there. Okay, here we go right there. And I'm going to take this and kind of like open it up. See how I'm like causing it to open up its shape?
Yep.
Up and down in the black. Up and down over here. And go ahead and get my little brush here. And exaggerate by putting another little distant cactus over here. This one is like far, far away. Just a little bit of distant desert. All right. Everything needs to be dry so we can paint in Cactus Dude.
That's so cool. I love
Isn't
the
that
little
cool painting?
Yeah.
That's a really cool painting today.
That's
I'm kind of glad we voted on this and did this one anyways.
Yeah, me too. All right. So we're going to come back over here. Make sure you thoroughly dry here so that you can get the next, because you don't want to drag your hand through the paint or anything like that. So make sure you thoroughly dry it. I mean, because it's coming together really close now. I mean, this and I know that this part can be scary. So if you need, you can get the traceable. That way you don't have to worry about it if you're concerned. If it's scary to like paint over that lightning you just painted. You're like, oh my goodness.
No, once I do this cactus, then I will run a traceable from this particular painting. Go back to my, since we already used the number 4 texture, I'll start my cactus with this again. Now, one of the tricks that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a chalk pencil and I'm going to draw a vertical line on my surface where I think I'm going to bring my cactus up. And it might help sometimes to even use a T-square. Not that the cactuses, the sequoias are necessarily always straight, but optically you'll be glad you did it straight. So I'm going to take this brush here and I'm going to get a little bit wet. I'm going to use the filbert on it. You could use a round, you could use a bright. Any brush you used would be just fine. I'm thinning some paint. Just doing that stroke down. Looks pretty good. Bring that up and kind of taper that a little bit. Oops. I'm going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to come along the side here and kind of pick up a little bit of paint where I got too heavy with my paint. What I'm doing is I'm kind of thinning the, I'm thinning the stock because I over thickened it. I got a little too enthusiastic. Grab a little more. I don't want to lose my good lightening, so I'm going to actually move my arm here. Let's get a round involved. I think the debrushes is going to aggravate me too much. So I'm going to take my number 6 sepia round. Just do a little arm coming in on my little cactus. I could have done one lower, but I would have lost that really cool lightning strike, and I didn't want to lose the connection to the ground with the glow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So sometimes when that happens, what I'll do is I'll be like, but I have room over here. So if I found that a low arm, right, which I do, kind of adds to the believability of the cactus, then what can I do? I can add a low arm as I see fit on the other side. Go, nice little arm going out there. And then for sure, look at that. Kind of wiggling my little line here so that it seems a little bumpier. So making my line seem bumpier. That's because it wouldn't be completely smooth. There'd be like little needles. This is a fussy thing I'm doing. Just so you know. Making my cactus lumpy is fussiness. Oh, Angela, thank you so much. Just add the little bumps to it.
Yeah, thank you, Angela.
You could do needles, but if you can see the needles, then it starts to get too busy. All right. I like that. I'm glad I changed the arms. Are you glad we changed the arms? I'm glad I added the bumps.
Yeah, I do too.
Now I have to figure out how to sign this without destroying my silhouette. So I'm going to go back to my number 1 brush. And I'm going to get a little of my fluid white paint and I'm going to bring it over to my blue purple. Make kind of this upper sky color, which is quite dark, but I added glazing liquid just to improve the flow of my paint. I'm going to wipe this brush off. This was a fun day, guys.
This is an incredibly fun painting.
This would go really well with Sharknado. I did a tornado with sharks, Sharknado.
It was very sharky.
It's a good storm. So what I like about this is that the signature is visible, but not disruptive.
Yeah, I think that's cool how you did it there.
So you see it, but it's not all you see.
Yeah.
So that's how I would paint Desert Lightning with a cactus.
That turned out super cool.
And next Thursday, we're going to get together and paint a little seabird at the shore. Is that? Yes.
Is it a sea?
It's a seabird.
A seabird
and then
by the seashore?
Saturday, we're doing the poppies. And then the next Tuesday, we're doing the rose in the vase. So we've got lots of fun paintings coming. And I am feeling like myself. So that's good news for all of us. For the painting journey, isn't it?
There's a regular source of copy.
Thank you guys so much for the birthday wishes. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for the kindness. I hope if you saw my post, you guys actually did do something nice for yourself. I thought it'd be really cool to put that weird energy in the world, like where anyone who saw the post that it was my birthday, they were supposed to do something nice for themselves.
Yeah.
I think that would put some good energy. Thank you, Amy. Put that energy out in the universe. So if you didn't know, that's your challenge today, is to treat yourself to something nice. It doesn't have to be physical goods. You don't have to buy something. Maybe it's a deep breath. Maybe it's letting yourself off the hook for something, but just do something kind and specific. Sandpiper. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Amy recognized that I was not remembering what that bird was called. It's called a sandpiper. Could not remember, and I kept wanting to call it a coot, which is just not what that bird is called.
Yeah.
So
it's also not a snipe.
Also not one of those.
Because those are a little bird.
Or a blue-footed booby. Not one of those. Sorry, I just sometimes my humor goes.
Bird jokes.
It's a dream I have.
Who knows?
All right, guys, I want you to be good to yourselves. I want you to be good to each other. And I will see you at an easel